Back in studio with the fellas, and it was clean football once again from the Kansas City Chiefs. All of the core tenets and what we've come to expect from this franchise. Mac, what stood out to you first?
Well, just the adversity that we saw in the first half, solely coming from the offensive end in terms of the miscues, the mishaps, and then finding a way to weather the storm, play good defense until your offense came to the party, and voila, it took off from there. Pat Mahomes basically allowed the Commanders to get out of the blocks first. If they were a sprinter in a race, they got out of the blocks first, and all he did was say, you know what, I'm going to play my Usain Bolt and come get you. And when he started rolling, Rashee Rice started rolling, Travis Kelce, and collectively the running game, they ran for 148 yards on the ground. It was a surprising 148. When you watched the game, you didn't really feel like they were that productive, but they averaged almost 5 yards per tote. A complementary, balanced style offense, and it started with number 15, and he is in his rhythm. And it's one thing to see Rashee Rice do what he's been doing because we know about the potential. But now 87 is showing up in the stat sheet. Travis Kelce, 6 receptions for 99 yards and a touchdown. He did have that one miscue deflection that led to a turnover. Outside of that, he is playing outstanding football, and that's the most scary thing in terms of the eldermen of the pass-catching group showing up. This could be a very, very entertaining second half of the season for the Chiefs.
I mean, sound the alarm in the AFC and league-wide here because you just detailed so much of it. Everybody got to their number in this game. 34 passes, 284 yards, 30 rushes, 148 yards on the ground. Balanced football. The quarterback gives it away a couple times, but kept it clean otherwise. Another 3-touchdown performance, Emory Hunt. This is a 3-alarm fire from all others that are trying to do exactly what the Chiefs have done for the better part of a decade now.
Here's the reason why all of that happened tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs are the smartest football offense in the league. Their football IQ collectively is top notch. Because when you talk about the running game, the vision that the backs have to hit the holes that are there on the inside, knowing how to press before they accelerate through the hole, that's check number one. That's why they ran the football well. Quarterback play. Pat Mahomes looked like the younger Pat Mahomes, where he's just buying time in the pocket, finding guys downfield, keeping himself behind the line of scrimmage, and then throwing the ball accurately to many different targets. So they pepper different targets with passes. Then the offensive line, knowing how to pass protect for a mobile quarterback without getting holding penalties is paramount for Pat Mahomes to do his job. And then on the receiving side of things, every receiver that's out there understands or operates with the mentality of scramble drill. They find open grass. They do not settle in where their routes are relegated to go. We saw that multiple times on touchdowns. We even saw it from Kareem Hunt, leak back in the back of the end zone for the reception right there for a touchdown. We saw it with Travis Kelce. We've seen it with Rashee Rice. And all of those guys scored on second chance opportunities with their route running. So collectively, their football IQ on offense is the best in the league, and that's why it's scary time right now for Kansas City and those people that have to play them on the schedule.
14 touchdowns passing over the last 5 games for Patrick Mahomes. A 4-touchdown performance in there, and now 3 consecutive 3-touchdown performances through the air. It was a play that we gave out earlier on HQ. You watch, you wager, you win, but it's a fun team to watch, no matter if you're wagering or not, this Kansas City Chiefs side. On the other side, I want to go back to the early game decision-making of the head coach in Washington. I know this is something you take issue with here, Mac, because instead of taking 3 twice, I know that's not today's day and age in the NFL, you come up 0. It was interception, turnover on downs to start the game. Avoidable start? Did that stunt what we saw over the remainder of the 60 minutes?
Yeah. No question. I think when you look at the first potential field goal opportunity,
you go there.
You were straddling the fence. It would have been a long field goal unless you got Brandon Aubrey, who's the best kicker in the game. But the second opportunity, that's a makeable field goal. And I understand Dan Quinn said, we're going to be aggressive. Well, there's a thin line between being aggressive and being smart, especially when you're playing on the road in Arrowhead. And Pat Mahomes, up until that point, he was struggling. Momentum is very, very important because when you miss those 4th down opportunities, you instantly gave momentum back to Kansas City in a moment where your defense gave you extra possessions because of the forced turnovers they had on Pat Mahomes. You had nothing. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, Commander fans who are watching us venting, you kick both field goals, you make both. You're up 6-0. Momentum is in your favor, and your defense, they get extra. They're playing with house money because they already created turnovers, and now they're really in their groove because they have points on the scoreboard, and they can really be dialed in to get more opportunities for you.
Yeah.
When you be aggressive like that, you better have a game plan in place. Not to mention, you got to look at what you've done thus far. You're below 500. You came into this ball game 3-4. So clearly you haven't been at your best. So when you make those strategic decisions, make sure you have a plan in place where you can execute and not give a guy like Pat Mahomes the momentum that he needed to be able to say, you know what, I screwed up, but he gave us right back. We're right back where we need to be.
Yeah, it's the type of decision-making that can reflect belief in a team, but it also can have whiffs of desperation, Emory. And now with another loss at 3-5 with 3 losses consecutive, your quarterback's been dinged up for the better part of this season. What does it look like the road forward for Washington?
Well, that's why it looked like they went all in on this particular ball game because, yeah, they were aggressive, but there is a fine line between aggressiveness and recklessness, and their aggressiveness was a detriment to success tonight because they went all in on the first half, and what happened in the second half, they barely had the football. Kansas City leaned on these guys so they couldn't get off the field, and which allowed Kansas City to slowly choke them out in this ball game. So now, because you lost this particular game, you went all in, and we've seen teams play Kansas City like this is their Super Bowl. And so now what happens the following week? Will Jaden Daniels come back? Can you run the football? We saw Kansas City's front seven do a phenomenal job in playing the zone read run, taking that away, which forced them into a one-dimensional game.
Yeah.
So now you have this, again, find the running game. We talked about this in pregame. Yeah, you can run the football. You led from the front for a lot, but you don't really have a true run game. And now moving forward, every other team in the NFL will pick apart this particular tape and say, okay, if we can play them this way, we can kind of slow this down, force them into a one-dimensional game, and who on the perimeter scares you vertically. They could win a lot of contested catches, but if we are able to get pressure and you don't have time to get the ball vertical down the field for those guys to get revved up and get going, their game, it gets shorter and shorter. Their passing
Condensed.
game, very condensed. That umbrella gets to close on that front seven, and it becomes tougher to have offense.
I'd like to say something to the viewers that are watching us. They're saying, well, analytics said they should go for it. I know we're in this era of analytical numbers with football, but analytics never factors in how good you are as a team. Analytics never factor in how good the team is you're going against, either that defensive unit or whatever the case may be. Analytics never factor in, oh, well, we're playing with our backup quarterback. Analytics didn't factor in, we missing our best lineman in Laramie Tunzel. So that's the thing about analytics, where I hear people say all the time, well, analytics says you should go for it because there's a percentage that you should get it. Well, the computers never factor in the actual people who have the helmets on. That's a major factor. So when it's 4th and 6 and you telling me analytics says you should go for it, well, I'm going to ask this question. Well, has analytics factored in how good our offensive line is? Has analytics factored in they have a Hall of Famer on their defensive line and Chris Jones? No. So instead of just talking about what the computer says, what the eye test is telling you should be the final decision maker for you, in my opinion.
Analytics are meant to inform, not to decide. They give us all the information, and I understand railing against the math here a little bit. It's gotten teams into good situations, it's gotten teams into predicaments, and we've seen in this instance it cost a little momentum early on in this game for a team that did not have all their bullets. We close on a positive thought, as we always do. Emory Hunt, are the Kansas City Chiefs the best team in football?
Yes. And the reason why I say yes, they are because they have all of their weapons at their disposal. They have the best quarterback in football. Defensively, their front seven is excellent. We know what they can do on coverage side, and we know how good of a coach Steve Spagnuolo is in big game situations. So everything is coming up Kansas City right now, so I will say yes.
I only asked the question because after the 0-2 start, there were questions of, is the dynasty dead, yada, yada, yada. We fast forward to now, and I don't know if you have a 1, 2, or 3 in your power rankings, but we can't go any further than that right now, Mac.
They're not the best team in football.
AFC?
In football. He asked the question. What was his question, Joe?
Offer me a team.
I got to go with the Colts.
Okay.
And the reason why
Respect.
I go with the Colts right now, number one, they have the best record in the game. Number two, when you look at positional ranking, right, they have the best offensive line unit in the game.
I'll give you that.
They have the best running back in the game.
Check.
They have the best tight end in the game. And Tyler Warren.
Now, let me take you one further.
What?
Look over your left shoulder.
Do they have him?
Hold on, I ain't finished yet. And they might not have the best quarterback, but he ain't no worse than top 4.
He was about to go through
give you
every
that.
He ain't
position.
no worse than
Long
Hey.
snapper, everything.
We don't put him to sleep early,
Yeah.
and we don't crown a champion too early. But at last check, those are Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, hold on.
Right there.
And we, guess what? The thing about this schedule, we will see them face off in the month of Thanksgiving, giving thanks.
Oh,
So, yes.
You know what else we give thanks for?
What we got?
The
Okay.
mind of these two men. Bryant McFadden, pregame, giving you some winning wagers, and the Mac had a
Why
night.
we playing around, man?
The Mac had a
Don't stop playing with
How
us and
young
pay
that
attention.
picture is. That's an old picture.
I was gonna say
That's
we need to update
a prom picture.
update the headshot. That is a prom pic.
That's
That
an
is
Ole Mill picture.
senior year. I'm surprised I don't have the tux on, but
Yes, sir.
covered with the Chiefs. Mahomes with the 3 touchdowns. I give him a little help on
Stop
that
playing
one.
with us, man.
Emory Hunt on a heater as well. You can't see him right now. Well, you can see the picture, but they are taking pictures of their own winning
But
wagers.
this is every Monday.
This
Why?
is
Say
We
it
do this
with
all
me,
the
ladies
time.
and gentlemen.
Watching this, what you doing?
You watch, you wager, you win.
You rich.